And welcome back to another rendition, organic, two-fried episode of Life and In Between, the podcast where we are with you in your journey, no matter where you may be. My name is Patrick Pac-Man Bettis, just welcoming you back. So, we have a very special series entitled, This Sucks. Now what? That was Jayson. That was Jayson laughing in the background because on today's episode, we are digging into This Sucks, Now What? And we're going to be digging into some of the background story of our very own podcast guru, our sound engineer, our DJ, our hype man, Jayson Mendez, aka DJ Jace. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Actually, I wanted to introduce you using your music. Could I do that? Because I was listening to your music last night, and then we could use that as a segue to be like, boom.
Okay.
Jayson.
All right.
Or
doesn't he have talent?
There's this one. Hold on, let me find it. I'm hoping it'll play on here. Let me see it. Tell me if I can hear this.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there was this one song. It's so sick. Hold on, let me find it, called Don't Give Up. There it is right there. All right. So I just want to play like 30 seconds of this because it gets nice, and then we'll throw it to Jayson. But this is okay. Just the way it starts off, chill piano, okay, relaxing into it. Feel some depth in there, some heart. That is so sick. What's that beat? I'll introduce you. They call him Jayson. His name is Jace. He's so fly, he's like Mace. Cause he stings your eyes and he does not despise. He's got the skills that will take him all the way to the sky. He's got the rhythm, he's got the style. He is like he's going buck wild. Oh my gosh. He's looking GQ, he looks kind of posh. Got his bow tie, his little shirt on. Hopefully he's not wearing a thong. That song is so sick. That made my morning. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
That is, yeah.
I did not expect that.
All these tracks, the gamble. So yeah, but throwing it to Jayson.
I did not expect that. Wow, dude. Like, nobody knows I do this stuff, bro. I put it out there back in 2007 just to maybe 30-something people, but that's pretty much it. You know, like, no, y'all are listening to it for the first time since then. No one.
Well, I do want to get into, I do want to talk about the title of our podcast. This sucks. Now what? But I just want to kind of pull a little more out of this. Like, we'll get the hype, and then we'll okay, Jayson, this sucks. Now what? But so I'll listen to a few tracks, and what we do, I guess we'll link this wherever we're posting the podcast, and people can check out your tunes. But I heard remnants of everything from Tron Legacy, Matrix, Western spaghetti films, piano. I mean, it was just so many different genres in there, and then the break hip hop beat going there, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So before we get to the suckage, I guess, let's talk about the brighter days. What pushed you to make these tracks? Because the names, The Gamble, Dark Waters, A Princess Without Her King, were these experiences in life?
Because I'm not one of those where to answer your question, yes. And then at the same time, when we talk about what now, it sucks, what now, right? Well then, if you're this talented, if you have this kind of skills, and then why aren't you doing this for a living? It's all about who connections, building a portfolio. And I'm just now doing this. I'm just now building a portfolio. Even my video work, it's not enough. I have to build it up. You have to put it in a way. You have to work with people who are in the field and say, hey, you got to get that feedback. Feedback is a gift. You got to get that so they can mold it to what, so you can bring it to the people that are actually used to seeing this and that expectation of like, you know what? Yeah, he's good. I see this is what I need, kind of thing. So I never thought I'd actually be, like on a path of like, you know what? I can do this. I've been by myself in this music world by myself my whole life. With my brother was a different story. Like when hip hop came in, it took over. It was like took over rock, took over everything. Hip hop was culture. Hip hop was clothes. Hip hop was language. Like that was to be able to speak. That was like minorities. Like that's the only language that they can come through and like be able to talk after work or through work. It was just a separation, and like that's the only way people can go through and express. And then you have dance going through hip hop, right? Well, for me, it's watching my brother. And he's the one that inspired me to start writing, by the way. And we'll talk about that in another one. But it's just that I didn't know my place because I grew up in classical music. I'm a classical accomplished. They say I'm an accomplished classical pianist, and I got a chance to win state in the competition when I was like 15, 16 years old, and the competitors were all like Japanese, Chinese. So if you can imagine this little Mexican boy coming in, like, I don't know what I'm doing here, Dad. And did I practice enough? So I finally win. And then I get that piece of paper and I'm like, that's it? Like I want to do what my little brother's doing. And he was only like 9, 10 years old. And I was like 16. And what he was doing, he was playing by ear. He was playing by ear and he can play any song off the radio. And I was like, well, I want to play. And he was getting that attention. That's where I was like, wait. That's the kind of music. And I'm not even listening to hip hop. I got introduced to Scarface. He was the first one. He was the first hip hop artist that I was introduced to. And then I was like, well, I mean, man, his lyrics are crazy and there's a lot of cussing. That's not me. But when my brother would make the beats, here comes all the attention. And that's just what everybody was into. Again, that's not what I was into yet. And all of a sudden, Prodigy comes out. And when Prodigy came out, that was mine. The Mortal Kombat, the electronic sounds, all that fast sound. Then that was energy to me. That was like, let's get up and go, because my personality is I run. I'm a sprinter. Like I love working out. I mean, I don't love fighting, but I love the sport of it. So all this came together for me of this energy and adrenaline. And so next thing I know, I started studying this and started playing that. So me and my brother were two opposites. And but at the same time, not learning how to do this, we go on this path of me making sure that my brother, there's something magical about my brother. And following him, I got a chance to become an audio recording engineer for him. And learning all the computers, learning how to connect everything, and just making sure my little brother was taken care of as he's producing these sounds. And but through that course, here we go. This is why I paint that picture. Through all those years, I was slowly trying to find myself in my place in this world. And people would say, like, what would you do with that? And it was the music that would go on movies. But I didn't know this yet. Like, where would you go to make songs for movies, much less video games? Now, video games is a whole different other thing. Mm-hmm. So slowly, I found all these songs, by the way, that I made in 1998, 2003 to 2007. I was talking to Diane several days ago, and I actually not only found my brother's songs that him and I didn't even know I still have, but I found some of my old songs, and I can't wait to show them also using my video skills as well. But this is the year that I'm like, I can do this. And it's just thankful for all social media, to where, especially TikTok, that I can actually talk to artists and producers and recording engineers across the world. And I've been able to, like, hey, how do you do this? Like, I am talking to people in the circle, but I never had anybody to talk to in the professional world until now. And so that this changes everything.
No, that is so good. And Wow, kudos. I mean, these tracks are fire. And your story's a lot like my brother.
What?
My brother makes trance. He also does audio engineering on the side,
wow.
DJs, and it's kind of been that same sibling thing. You know, here I am, the b-boy, you know, dancing, breaking all
I
over
would love to dance. Yeah.
and so we were able to kind of fuse some stuff last year at Byline Beats where he DJ'd. He brought some freestyle music to welcome everybody in.
That's so cool, man.
But it's the same thing because you know he's more introverted. You know he's not me where I'm like hugging on people like I just met you, my friend. And so yeah, you know, I think like you said, you now have access to the world via your phone. You can talk, you can get into that, and I will say my brother is mad talented. You're mad talented, and it does suck that other people get the exposure
Faster.
one way or another. Yeah, because because I don't know, they're in a bikini DJing and they get all the views, or it's just a hype. I don't even know because talent can only get you so far, but it just seems how you brand yourself. That's
it, branding, business.
That's the hard, and that's where us Zennials, or no, what are we? We're Gen X. Yeah, Gen X.
What am I? I'm 50. What am I?
Boomer. Hey, boomer. We might be like Zennials. But no, and I think this will speak to a lot of the creatives out there, you know, the artists, because I work with a lot of artists in Austin, the Emerging Teaching Artist Program, shout out to Mind Pop, where they try to help those who are doing like you. They have great talent, but how do you start scaling it, building it, getting it out there, the business side of things. And so I want to say that sucks that never took off. That sucks that you never got the notoriety and the money and the financial stability that would come with music like this.
Yeah.
So now what? You know, you're here many years later.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, we got a chance to work with, you know, Lil Wayne, Sierra, Destiny's Child, Fat Joe, Baby Bash. We got a chance to work with a lot of artists like that, but upcoming artists at the time, especially between 2002, 2007. But again, this is my brother. You know, I got a chance to mix a lot of their tracks and everything. But for me, that wasn't my thing. Like, what am I going to do? I wasn't even sure what I was going to do for myself yet. I wasn't even sure. Like, what am I doing? Other than I just love what I'm doing over here. I'm just making these sounds. But it wasn't until somebody said, no, it's really just those moments, you know, just talking to God, you know, it's just like realizing, embrace what I can actually do and run with that. And that's when it just started flourishing. Like, whoa, what's happening here? Like, once you accept for whatever that is that you've been fighting against, like, I didn't want to make songs for video games. I didn't want to make songs for movies. But man, that is the thing right now, you know? And, you know, it doesn't have to be like symphonies and things. It's everything you just heard. And I love everything that I'm making, but there has to be a little bit of a format. That way it does fit. And so that's what I've been working on. But other than that, that's why I've been able to take off. So, yeah.
And that in between now, in the in between of, okay, you're an amazing artist, and then also got to go get a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that there.
So, a lot of people, they freak out when they hear that I've had about 30, 40 something jobs.
What? Oh my gosh.
Man, I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah. And the thing is, you're in a band and you're trying to make ends meet, and you have like one main job and then you have two part-time jobs. That's how that works. You're doing, you know, a job for maybe 2 days, maybe 3-4 hours, and then you have the full time that allows you to, like, you get there at 7 and you're done by 2 or 3, and then you're at the studio like maybe like 4 to like, you know, 6. You know, you're just working it, and then between all that, if you're there for about 3-4 years, well, those part-time jobs, you know, they fall out. It's seasonal, and you're working different other jobs, and that's how I've had so many jobs and experiences in that. But I've never really focused on a career. I didn't even know if music. I didn't even know what a career was. I didn't have any role models. I didn't have anybody to look up to. My dad was never a competitor. He never really pushed that on me. He wasn't like. He was really more like this. Son, it's okay if you don't get it. It's don't worry. It's like he didn't want me. He didn't want to feel like I was disappointing him.
Mm.
And I get that, you know. He just wanted me to just go try. That's it. But he didn't. Even when during my piano competitions, you know, I'm gonna do this. So to the audience, basically, he would look down because he was scared that I was gonna fail. But he didn't want to. He didn't want to let me know. And because I saw him one time, I will, you know, I'm doing my thing and I look over there, but he's looking down because he's so scared I'm gonna fail. But at the same time, when I did fail all those years, you know, he'll look at me and, you know, give me a hug and then like, you know, put his hand on my shoulders and like, all right, let's go. You know, here's $1, here's $5 for, you know, like my little allowance and let's go get something to eat. But he never talked about like, dang it. Oh, dang it. You know, it's just, all right, you did it. You know, you went up there and executed the like performing. But the competition itself, would never win. So he was never like that. He never instilled that. So when you try to get out there in the real world, it's all about competition. You're always trying to be the best so you can hang on to your job. Never looked at it like that. Yeah. So now we're at this company for 13 years. I didn't even think I was going to last that long. It's a Fortune, possibly 20 company, Fortune 30 company. It fluctuates, right? Because due to technology.
It's a cell phone.
Telecommunications.
Wink, wink. Yeah.
and it's tech support. It's media productions. It's becoming a corporate senior trainer. You know, helping other people keep their jobs. It's learning all this stuff, and I always felt like, wow, it's okay. Just keep moving. Just keep growing. Have to become an asset. I'm seeing everyone around me being let go because they're staying in one position. They're staying in one position. They're being comfortable, and then it's like, hey, you know, we don't need you anymore. So to grow up in this world, you know, it's like, okay, just keep moving. But I finally found somewhere where I'm like, this is so hard. But no matter what I'm doing to everybody else, oh, Jayson's growing. But higher up, he's not growing fast enough. But I think that's also subjective because really my last day, it was a company-wide decision that said, hey, we got to let go of 15,000 employees.
Wow.
But at the same time, I mean, even though this was the biggest hit, I think 300 to 400 people in my department for the first time was let go. So it's usually maybe 3. Usually HR and this training department is usually the last to be looked at. But this time it was done. So in the weeds of things, when it comes down to it, you have family and you have degrees and who's pushing, who's what is it? Who's doing more? Well, if Jason's not pulling his weight, we gotta let him go. So
how old were you? What year was this and how old were you during this time?
2023, January 31st was my last day, and I think I was 47, I think.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So now we're
13 years there.
13 years there. And so we're right there at the border of like, oh, about to hit 50, right? And I didn't even think about getting hit. I try to be hopeful. And I thank my wife for being my rock and always being positive, right? But life sucks, right? Everything's been happening. I try not to look at that. I know about this eye, Diane. And even when all these years, I even tried to convince my dad, like, Dad, I really think we're cursed. You know? It's just one thing after the next. And just to give everyone an example, I bit my tongue almost in half where it was just hanging there. I've broken my arm. I've dislocated my left shoulder. I've ripped my other shoulder. I've hyperextended my back. I've fractured my toe. I've broken all my fingers. It's just nonstop. Broken my nose 3 times. I've had concussions. So through life, right? My dad's seeing this, and he's just so scared. He's so scared. Like, what is he gonna get into next? So you just got to keep going, right? You got to keep going and keep moving. But
Like all these injuries are like skateboarding, UFC. Like what was causing all this stuff? I mean, you don't do that playing the piano.
right. And could you imagine breaking my fingers and I'm still involved in piano? Oh man, that was scary. So to answer your question, sports, fights, I was in kickboxing, all that. Yeah, it was just a mixture of all that. And so I'm just letting everybody know, like, you would think like you'll get knocked down and like then everything is over, but you just gotta keep going, right? Or else you get left behind. It's just so going back to this company here, it's like, okay, yeah, you do go into this depression, and it depends on everyone's different, right? Everyone's different. Like when you get let go, and Diane and I had talked about this too, and Diane, I think you have talked to us, me and Patrick at the same time. When you lose your job, you're losing it's like a loss. It's like you're losing your partner. You're losing your fur baby. You're losing something. Like there's a hole that is
An
left.
identity, like your sense of identity, a piece of you gets lost in the mix of all this. Because we align ourselves with our career to like become a part of ourselves, like an extension of ourselves early. And so it's a loss, like a loss of like a divorce and all that, as you were saying. So continue.
No, thank you, Diane. No, y'all can come in and comment on any of this, because it's the craziest thing. Like I'm used to going in between jobs and like, okay, what's the next one? What's the next one? But when this one was over, it was kind of a bittersweet, because those last 4 years I was working from like 7:30 to like 2:30 in the morning for almost 6 days a week. And all I was trying to do was trying to just grow, trying to learn my position, at the same time do my position. And and the reason why this position was so hard for me to do, because I already had learning challenges going through school. So I'm just going to put it out there. I don't care what people think or judge. This is what it is. So from first grade to second grade, I failed. I failed the second to go to third to go to fourth. When my parents got back together, I passed from fourth to go to fifth. I failed fifth to go to sixth. That's when my parents split up, and then I moved in with my dad, and then I passed from sixth to go to seventh. Then my mom got married to this police officer. I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. I can't sure if we got recorded on that, but it was just an abusive relationship with my mom and their kids and my stepfather. And so now I failed from seventh to go to eighth to go to ninth, all the way up to 11th. And then I have a relationship, and I think I found like a sense of being somewhere, like a belongingness, like a foundation. Right. I just felt like I was being loved. I felt like I belonged somewhere, and I got straight A's my last year. And got into sports, and I almost went to state in powerlifting. I'm like, I was focused, and that's pretty much it. And so I always felt, because of all the schooling, there was no way that I felt like I was going to be able to go to college and succeed there because of my history. I didn't feel confident that I was going to be able to succeed. But there's trade schools and things like that. So I did go to Core Reporting Institute of Dallas. But if you're going somewhere for the purpose of money, if you don't get it done quickly, then you lose the drive, and it's no longer the vision of just money. It becomes like you start learning along the way that it has to do with people, has to do with the team that you're working with. Do you love this job? Is it, you know what I'm saying? And so I am thankful for this other company that I was there for 13 years. It was a lot of growing, but learning, man, because of this type of company, you get to learn everyone else's culture. You get to learn like from other people coming around the world, coming to this country. This was the best gift to me. It was like the Asian community, the Black community, the 50 forward, the disability. You're seeing more awareness being brought to you as if like you can't turn away from it. It was like right there. And like,
Right.
well, I want to be a part of this. There's opportunities to learn. Well, then, okay, let me do this. I'm going to go see what's going on here. And with my, I guess, God giving me all these gifts and talents regarding like media productions, from video recording to audio recording, I wanted to use those gifts to help bring awareness to everyone else's causes, like we're doing here. Just whatever I know how to do with recording, podcast and making it better. Like, this is what this is, right? So I appreciate where I was at in those last 4 years. It was bittersweet, but I was learning and I was growing, and I got a chance to learn what feedback was about. And then after that, it was done. And so my wife goes, "Don't forget, this was done for you, not to you. Like, it's time. It's time to move on."
Yeah.
But who's to say that in fact I can go back? So don't burn any bridges. Just hang on to those relationships. I don't know if I'll be back from 5 years from now. I don't know if I'll be back in 10 years from now. But those connections, you hang on to them.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
and I love the way that you phrase that like not burn your connections. But are you, for instance, is it the company or the people? Because I mean, you talk beautifully about the people, but the company didn't do you right. Didn't do me right.
I got a big old smile.
I mean, because there is a separation in that. I mean, you can have a beautiful relationship and continue those bridges, and people are eventually going to leave that company.
Facts.
To move on, unless you are one of those that are dedicated and you will stay there forever and you will retire with that company and that's it. But most people, especially nowadays, they stay in a role for 3 years and then they move on. 3 to 4 years and they move on to another company, or they move up the corporate ladder, whatever it is. So when you talk about this loyalty, are you talking about the loyalty to the people. The people?
The people.
The people. So it's not really the company, but the company did me wrong. Let's be honest.
You're right, Diana. And I'm trying not to get misty-eyed here because, we're still trying to find our purpose, and there's just a bigger picture than what's in front of us. And in my perspective, I can't look at the company because the company doesn't even know me. The people who are up there, the shareholders, the president, they don't even know I even worked there unless I go, hey, my name is such and such. I was here for this many years. Like, they don't
You're
know.
just a cog in the machine. Just
Correct. So I can't get mad at that. I can't get upset at that, because if I did, then now I have shut that opportunity down to go somewhere else that I'm still struggling to try to go find work. But who's to say there's still connections there? There's still doors that are still open that can still bring you back in. Not that I'm desperate and like, I want to go back. Yeah, I feel all the pain and it sucked. But those were all growing pains. Like, it's never comfortable to be somewhere, when you're growing, because that's the whole point. You're growing. And if it sucks, I remember growing up, and I would hear so many people, it's like, I don't have to take this. I don't have to do this. No, you don't. But if you're uncomfortable, that means there's something there that you're not able to grow from. First of all, you're not able to control your emotions. This is not you, Diane, but this is like everybody else, right? Like, especially on the phones. You need to understand your emotions and control that, because that's just, you're stressing yourself out. If you're stressing, is that a form of sin, right? Because you're getting pissed off. You're letting somebody else control your emotions, right? Everything I'm saying is subjected to the audience, right? But I know how I'm growing up, that if I'm pissed off at something, I'm hurting myself. I'm gonna get high blood pressure. So I need to control this, right? So there is a bigger picture. Yes, Diana, I am mad at the company, but then, like, they don't care. I'm over getting mad at nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? They don't care.
And the thing I guess maybe I should rephrase that. and the reason I'm stating this is only because I had a really deep conversation with one of my sisters, and in regards to my recent departure in from a company, and I, and you and I have worked from a former company that we also were let go. It's part of corporate America. When they do restructuring, people let go, and unfortunately, we have been the people that have been impacted. And so I was just sitting there because I love the people within that culture. I made some wonderful in both companies I'm talking about. I love it. Yeah. And when decisions are being made and being determining who is let go, it's not supposed to be personal. And we understand that as adults.
But it is personal.
Because
it affects you at home. Yeah,
because it impacts you. And the company says, no, you did all the right things, but we just have to do budget cuts. We have to do all these things and yada, yada, yada. We hear all this. And so we have this love, and we think that we have to, we kind of tippy toe around a lot of things because we don't want to ruin any possibilities of going back to that company or whatever. And then, so, and I hear what you're saying, because when you find like a great culture, you don't want to jeopardize that. But one thing that my sister shared with me, my little sister, and we were talking about that, and she says, you know what? It's all great that, and mind you, this is where the generational thing I think comes in, because she's much younger. She's much younger.
I'm ready. Yeah.
She says, Diana, you may love the company that you work for, but they don't love you.
Facts.
And that's the real thing. So you don't owe them loyalty at any point, because they weren't loyal with you. Because if they really wanted to keep you, they would have found you a different position. Totally. I've worked enough with a lot of companies that will find you a place if they see that you are a valuable asset, and they will move you over no matter what.
That hurts.
So, and it hurts and she said that with love.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm saying this with love because you need to wake up, girl.
Yeah.
You may love them, but they don't love you.
Correct.
So you need to move forward and put that behind you. And so, and it's a generation, it really, when I heard that, it was like, whoa, this is painful. But when I was hearing you talking about the loyalty, it just kind of triggered something inside of me of what she said, of the reality. I mean, like, they weren't loyal. And what do we, and it's not out of anger, but it's like that realization of the light bulb that goes off and says,
yeah,
I mean,
Dana, no, you're right. You're right. And the thing is, I know who the group that you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. But not to say a but for me, it's like knowing that this happened to my dad, knowing that this happened, and we know that this has happened to all of our family and friends and parents. Like it was almost like somebody had this warm hand on my neck and back and kept pushing me to network. Doesn't mean that it helped, doesn't mean that it got me anywhere, but to this very day, I have so many folks saying, hey, go try here, go. So it's just because I have so many skills, doesn't mean I'm going to get it, doesn't mean I'm strong in them. It's just that in different departments, because it's almost like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. What is the saying? The thing, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about the same group, yeah, Dan, like, they expired. Right? Like, okay, try your other connections. But the thing is, you have experience in these major corporations, and the other groups around these folks that don't know you, they say, oh, wow, you know the culture of this. You already know how this company works, right? So that says a lot. But the groups they're expired. It's done, right? So with the folks that keeps contacting me, it's like, great, this is awesome. All right, I'll try again. I'll apply. Eventually, I don't know what else to say. I mean, if there's folks that I don't want to work with again, there's folks where, that they're like your group. And I'm like, you don't see me talking to them anymore. Even you don't want to focus that energy no more, right? You want to focus that good energy to new future, new adventures, new connections. So your sister's right, to that group, because they are not the company. You know what I'm saying? They are not the company. Diana, I know you. I know them. Am I right or wrong? Like, just tell me it's okay.
Yeah.
But they are not the company. So to your sister, yes, she's right. And I don't mean to, to repeat myself, but still, it's like people are pissed off and they want to shut it down and move on and write things off real quick and real fast. But there is still life learnings there to like get over it and keep like, okay, we got to keep going, because they are not the end all be all. They are not the ones that say this is done. Try something else. Yeah, try something else, but new connections. And that's what we're doing here.
A paycheck. I mean, they were a paycheck, not your purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So right there.
Love that, Patrick. Love that. That's true.
That's my perspective. Both y'all are right. It's just, I don't know if it's just, you just want to just cut it off and be done with it versus, I don't know.
I think you did the right thing. It's about the people, people over profits. It's keeping those bridges. But I mean, from what it sounds like, that you still have people kind of, hey, try this, and you're still in that in between, pretty much. You applied somewhere else. Is what, 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
Yeah. I mean, even this morning, I walked into UPS when everyone says, "Hey, they're hiring," and it has the big old giant banner hiring. I go in there. And with my resume, and they said, "Hey, walk in," and that's how it's supposed to. That's how it works. And I went through my resume, and she comes up and she goes, I already see like, "What are you doing here?" kind of thing. And it's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's like, "Hey, just wanted to introduce myself, and here's my resume." And she was like, "I'm sorry, we're not hiring." I was like, "Okay, but I mean, everything's you're presenting something here, right?" And so, and I said, "Okay, well, can I at least leave my resume here?" And it's like, and she didn't even want to touch it, like if it was dirty or something. And I was like, "Well, I mean, is it?" She goes, "Well, what are you looking for?" And she saw me being presentable. She goes, "Are you looking for professional? Professional? Did you select professional?" I said, "I'm looking for all work. I'm looking for labor. I'm looking for all that." She goes, "Okay, well, here, I'll tell you what, Jayson." She typed, she writes it up. This is UPS, jobs.com. I said, "Okay, all right, well, I'll try that again." I'll try that again.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, all good. And of course, I text my buddy and I said, "Hey," I tell him, the same thing, real brief. I said, "All good. And I'll receive the notifications and I'll be ready next time." And that was pretty much it. But he was kind of like shocked, and he was shocked and confused. He kept texting me back, "Are you sure you went to the right area?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did. There was only one door, one building, one address, So, yeah.
But I mean, that's still relevant. I mean, to all the listeners out there, this is, we're doing a podcast, but we're still in the world. And Jayson here, aka DJ Jace. I mean, to have all the talent, to have the work history, and it's still, I can almost like envision it like a little SNL skit where you just walk in and it's like some young little person just, "Hey, over here."
I do have one. I'll never forget this woman. I'll never forget it. It was in between jobs here where I applied. It was this cool little thing. I don't know if y'all noticed that, in the corporate, in those buildings, in those big giant brick buildings and stuff, you'll see up where they have this little red tint liquid in the what do you call it? The fire sprinklers?
Oh yeah, the sprinklers.
And you'll see that. And that's me, like, always daydreaming. And I'm like, "Well, what the hell is that looking up there?" It's like, it's red, Well, I never knew this until I was applying for this particular job. And we get the person coming in and she goes, "Okay, we're hiring for a sales position to sell this particular product. And we'll show you what this is about." And so they would demonstrate. And what it would be is they'll put this little liquid, on one side of this brick panel. They would put it on the table, and then here's this little liquid right here on the other side. Well, on the other side, they a little bit further away, they would light a piece of paper, and it's like flames now. It's on fire. They would put it closer to the panel, like this, like on the other side of this little wall with the little red ink on the other side of the wall. It went away, popped. It just disintegrated. Like the fire, like it lost oxygen.
Oh wow.
So if there's a fire and it sets off a signal, then the sprinkler system goes off, but it throws that red ink out, and it stops the fire, it calms it down real quick and fast. Fire followed by water. Okay, so I'm like, okay, this is great. I mean, this was all of us. We're like, man, that is so cool. That's like a magic trick. And they said, okay, if you're ready to move forward, we'll get you set up with your interviews. I'm like, okay, great. And so, Jayson, are you ready? I'm like, I'm ready. So I go over there and I sit down, and this guy is looking at my resume, and he takes about maybe 5-10 minutes too long. And I'm in the little chair. His chair is much bigger than mine. He sits up a little bit taller than me, and I'm like sitting there with my knees almost to my chest. And I'm just like, man, feels uncomfortable. I was like, okay. And finally puts it down. He goes, okay, man, you have a lot of cool. I think he said you had a lot of things going on here, and looks like you can do the job, but I don't see any management deals here. And I'm like, well, the job was to for like a sales position. So what is this about? And he goes, well, we're looking for a sales trainee position that can go into management. Do you think you can do it, Jayson? I'm like, well, yeah, but it said like in training, sales associate to manager. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can do it with the training. He goes, but can you do it? I'm like, well, yeah, with the training. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do it with the training. Jayson, if I was to offer you this position right now, can you do this position? Wow. Well, I mean, I can do the sales part. I mean, so interesting. And then he slams his hand down and says, can you do this manager position if I ever it now? And I go like this. I said, well, I guess not. And so he gets the paper and he rips it, and then he says, get out of here. And so I walk, and I'm like, and he's right behind me. And then the lady is like, look at me, and she's smiling, and then her face goes down, and then she's saying no. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then I walk out. I'm like, what the hell? I wanted to sell the red liquid.
So he wanted to hear confidence coming out of your voice.
But you don't want to work for a dude like that.
Yeah, I know.
He's got that red liquid like
that was a blessing.
Yeah,
but to both of y'all, what y'all just said, facts, right? Like, you don't want to work for that, but at the same time, I didn't have confidence. And I didn't have confidence for a long, long time. And that last company that I worked with helped me it helped me find my voice.
Oh, good. Yeah. If anything, you just stand and be like, I'm DJ J, sucker. Oh, I mean, wow. But that's awesome to hear, though, that the last company kind of gave you your mojo, gave you your guidance, gave you, and that's, I mean, everything you're saying, it's the supportive family. I mean, from the beginning of your story to now, it's like you've had the supporting family, the dad who wasn't pushing you, but also wasn't like competitive. Like I could imagine all the Asian, I mean, only because I know Asians can be like very, you're expected to win.
Yeah.
And you had a dad that was like, me modo, that's life, you lost. Okay. Cool.
It's okay. You could be okay. It's all right.
Yeah. But, that didn't seem to serve you too well when you get to the real world and it's all blood and guts and competitive. So it's a balance, but man, imagine if you were working for that dude, you'd be like shaking and having to get drunk every night or something.
Oh man.
But no, I'm going to give you some snaps. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, that is great. I think you are amazing. Thank you.
Guys. Thank y'all.
And it's it's this sucks, now what? And you're kind of in the now what? You're out there in between, fighting and pushing, and the fact that you're part of the podcast now, and we're gonna get big corporate deals from cell phone companies. They're gonna come and ask us, can you use our cell phones? And you'll be like, no,
not yours, but yours over there. We'll use yours.
Yeah. Give us cricket.
I know, right? Cricket.
Crickets. But no, this was good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure all the listeners, if y'all have questions or anything, email us. Jayson can respond to these because you're going through what a lot of people are going through. People who've been in federal jobs, corporate jobs. In my, it's all that shuffling. My wife was in that world. My brother was in that world. And I've never been in that world. I took a different path, but still, it's that same thing. It's who you know. It's the networks. It's the confidence in yourself to get out there and you don't have a boat. You start making your own boat. You don't have a paddle. You make your own paddle. You swim.
That's it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you bite the sharks that are trying to eat you. And
you want to kill the sharks and cook them because that's food.
Exactly. That's kind of banned in Asia. That's banned. No more.
Sorry.
And with that, our next podcast is actually going to be Patrick talking about how his journey is different from Jayson's. Ooh. So, I am looking forward to it. It's not that different.
Guess who else went to All-State in high school band? You're not the only band nerd here. So what? UIL state champion right here. Clarinet for life. What?
I can't wait to hear that, man. I can't wait to. I always think about was it American Pie? What was it? Well, last year in band camp, or what was it? There was always that little quote. It's an old movie. We can delete this part. Anyways,
I was forbidden to see that movie. Sorry, I was in my super Christian days. But I think it'd be cool if I want to play one last song to end this out. Everyone, don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And next episode, I'll be sharing my journey as well. Took a different path, awesome. Entrepreneur life. But this is just called Track 62 by DJ Jayson. I guess we'll play this podcast out because this one gets hype. It starts slow, but it gets hype. Here we go. All right, get your play balls out. Hold your flashlights up. Come on now.